A lot of people think of Indiana being super vanilla, and which it is.
In some ways.
In some ways. But I mean, I understand them saying vanilla in the sense that you can add anything to it and, it'll stick.
Right.
There's so much culturally going on in different suburbs, even in like different inner city spots that made Indy very different at those times.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like now we got a lot of gentrification happening, which is happening in a lot of places. So in me saying this is not too crazy, but you can definitely understand that everywhere you go, it's just different. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So like,
absolutely.
So did you go to school like the MIC conference? Okay, cool. Okay, perfect example. So you definitely understand like North Central was something different.
My little brother goes to North Central now. I mean, I'm here with it. And you know, Twitter back then was unmatched. Like I was very aware of the cultural nuances. You know what I mean? It was real. Yeah, it was just real.
And it was so much going on. So like when I was going to school, it was like the era of like a lot of basketball players. Even from jump, like, all right, these dudes is, if they don't make it as high as you could possibly get, like
something's wrong.
You're right. Something's wrong, or it's not going to be these dudes or whatever. Yeah. But I'm talking like the Mike Conleys, the Greg Odens, the Jeff Teagues. There were so many people that came before them and came after them. I was like, yo, like, this is
something's going on here.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is why
this is what it takes. You really get to see the culture and also impact it. And I feel like that's what's so special about it.
Because by that time, we were peaking MySpace era.
Oh, okay.
Going into Facebook era.
Yep.
So like knowing those like small little like sense of like things going on, you kind of like knew, all right, there's more outside of us. So like we saw some of the first things go viral. We saw the tequilas of the world. We saw Soulja Boy doing his thing or whatever. So like we knew that there were things that were going on outside of Indianapolis. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, we just figured that because we're in such a small market that those things would never reach. So much changed because you could take a picture and upload it, and then someone say, hey, that's my friend, and then you tag this person, and now you know even more people. You know what I'm saying? Like
the origin of networking.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
so it's like when you see stuff like that, and like as time progresses, it doesn't really become crazy to emulate things that you've seen in other cities.
Yeah.
Shout out to CP. One thing that he always used to say that used to make me so confused. I don't understand why people ask for advice. And I'd be like, bro, what are you talking about? Like advice is to help you get from point A to point B. Essentially, advice should be your version of what you think would work. And for whatever reason, when people ask for advice, they literally want the shortcut. Would say that, I would be like, you know what, I get that, because I used to be that person. You know what I'm saying? I used to be like, oh, tell me, because essentially I wanted their blueprint.
Right. And their blessing, and what you realize that you're kind of passing accountability to them too. Right. Like, oh, I'm going to listen to you, and then if it goes wrong or right, it's not on me.
Right. And now I blame you because you didn't give me the direct blueprint, or you didn't tell me exactly if you do this and this will happen. I mean, but how are they to know that?
Right.
You know, everyone has their different journeys. But most people, that's what they do. You know what I'm saying? So I know that if I followed most of the advice that I got over life, there's no telling where I'd be. Just like you said, we were talking about, you know, luck and blessings. Like cargo is probably the biggest blessing to date that I've ever had.
God bless.
And I only say that in the sense of like, we went to Miami for Basel. We getting to tell people that we got like a store and stuff back in Indy. And niggas is rolling out the red carpet for us because, you know, in bigger cities like that, bigger markets like that, you have to have a lot of money to open a store.
You do.
You know what I'm saying? And even if you have money, you need backing too. It's not just, you know what I'm saying? And retail's a slow grind. Retail's not like flipping a house where you can make 100 extra bands.
One customer at a time.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like taking freight from place to place and you making all this money. It's literally predicated on what you can do. And if you can't do it, you got to figure out how you
feel,
can.
Even,
right. You know what I'm saying? So how you make them feel, the experience when you walk in the store. There's so many things that can happen that someone could be turned off by and then not buy something. So it's just one of those things to where for us, we try to prepare ourselves for those moments because we enjoy shopping. So we created Cargo as a shopper experience first, rather than like a consumer
business.
You know what I'm saying? So like, you know what I'm saying? Because like I said, we know how we shop. So like, essentially Cargo started as like basically shopping in our closet. Because no bullshit, to start Cargo, we didn't have the money to like start it for real. So we literally were taking shoes out of our closet that we've never worn. And there used to be a time where like having shoes you've never worn was like all the rage. So for us, we were just like, if we want to really make this work, you know what I'm saying? You gotta hit ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like hit yourself with hurt a little bit.
Just a little sacrifice.
You know what I'm saying? So essentially, we ended up going in our closet, pulling out stuff that has recently come out again, but we've been open for that long. Even that's a unique experience because not a lot of people at the time were into shoes for just that. Like that industry is kind of dying in a sense, but at the time, it was literally when Virgil, you know, kind of stepped on the scene doing the 10. So like if you kind of knew what was going on, you knew, but again, being in Indianapolis, it was a lot harder to know if you weren't connected to the right people on the internet. Like I said, the progression of how the internet is, all those different things kind of added to, all right, in order for us to open cargo, what really matters, right? And for us, it was to have a location that we didn't necessarily get told what to do and things like that. We were kind of able to, you know, structure our business how we saw fit, things of that nature. Knowing we had a business partner before that was super frivolous, we just kind of knew like, all right, well, now that we, you know, got the ball rolling, what do we want to take care of? So for us to do that, we basically saw where things made sense. And we're just like, all right, well, we'll sell things that we sell on the internet. We will bring the internet to you though.
In real life.
And we understand that we understand that most people in indie understand that they have to shop outside of indie because of what's around. Although it would be nice for me to wear something that, you know, or wear anything that's in here. You can't really grow like that. So sometimes there are things in here that, you know, we wouldn't frequent or we wouldn't necessarily pick up. But, you know, a customer might have came in and said, hey, this brand is really cool. It might fit y'all or whatever the case is. We might try it out. If it sells quickly, we might get some more. If it doesn't sell so fast, we'll, you know, kind of figure it out from there. A lot of trends, you know, go and die and things like that. You know what I'm saying? So we want to keep something that's like kind of pure about us.
Absolutely. But it's good that you listen to your customer, though. That's what all good brands and businesses do. Got to.
Well, see, but we also explain to our customers that it's very hard for us because we live in a world where people do go to the internet first. And because of that, we have to carry on a lot more to keep everyone happy. It's been a lot to have to figure out up until that point.
A lot of adaptability.
You know what I'm saying? So like you said, a lot of gray area, just having to fill in. So our bottom line is a lot harder. So we have to carry Helmet Lane, Martini Rose. We have to carry sometimes antisocial, but also sometimes bait. So it's so much harder for us to say, all right, well, we're not going to do this anymore. And then this is hot tomorrow. You know, so the internet kind of makes things a little bit more finicky. But also living within that is kind of where we have our fun.
I want to know, do you feel, or when do you feel Indianapolis has gone through a renaissance at all?
So Facebook had so many pictures that it kind of allowed you to be immersed in other people's world. Without like being around. You could see where people were from. You could see what they were doing in certain regions, whatever, right? But for us, I feel like that renaissance really happened when Got Soul opened. Because Got Soul, shout out to Mike, he knew so many people. So once upon a time, people had to know people to get to these industry places, right? So Mike knew so many people that were already in the industry that no matter what was going on, people were just like, I don't know much about indie, but I do know this. So for us, that was kind of our saving grace because beyond having a spotlight of, some people are about to walk in here. Welcome, how you doing?
Hey.
We didn't really have too many things that pointed back to Indianapolis from like bigger cities. So for us, Got Soul was that. They were the first tier 0 store, which is a store that gets the exclusive of the exclusive. So when Kanye was with Nike and dropping Yeezys, we had a pair of Red Octobers come out there. We started seeing the internet. You know, the internet became tangible to us. And you could go to like bigger cities and see how that connected to them. And like I said, for me, I would take trips to New York and things, and I would go to see boutiques just out of curiosity to see what is so different. And it's funny, at the time, in around 2013-ish, you could walk into Supreme and there'd be plenty of things in there you could buy before that craze really hit. But it's also funny to see that, like, we would sell Supreme stuff in here and it would be super hard for us to get it. We had Supreme t-shirts that are going for $400.
Yeah.
And then you see where Supreme is now. It's like, well, if you want to get in, you can get in, but like, but it lets you know how much, you know, things go up and down. But for us, that Renaissance had a lot to do with that, because I feel like the idea of the resale shop and things like that wasn't even in people's foresight at the time, at least not here. So like, it was just cool to see pieces of the internet, you know, conceptualized. So I think that's when the Renaissance first started, at least, because that was when I was coming out of high school, and then I went to IU also.
There you go. Go Hoosiers.
Type shit. And while I was down there, I got to meet Matt, the owner of Dope Couture. There was a lot of people that I went to high school with that were a part of the Bougie crew, which is essentially a crew that was like the inner circle of that brand. So they would turn up in the store and they would drink and stuff. And they would go to see Mac Miller. They'd go to see Wiz. They'd go to see Currency.
Lifestyle.
You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So during that time, again, to me, it seemed futuristic. Because I'm getting invited to these parties. They give me free tickets, you know, whatever. We're going to these concerts. And to me, again, it's like, yo, my life has went from here to now here. And I'm seeing all this Tumblr stuff. So at the time, yes, Twitter was a thing, but like, you still needed like a third party app to put pictures
really
up.
Connect
You
it.
know what I'm saying? There wasn't any, there wasn't any like video or anything. So like, Twitter was pretty much a big chat room, which is still cool because you can get your, you know, a lot of your thoughts off, whatever like that. But the thing that was cool about Twitter back then is they had the blue whale, and it was just too many people on Twitter. The blue whale would come up and be like, "Hey, you pretty much just got to wait your turn."
That's crazy.
Which is like one of the best things about it, because so much information went through there that it sucked if you couldn't be on it. And it's like nowadays, if Twitter's messing up, everyone, you know, migrates to Instagram, and if Instagram's messing up, everyone migrates to Twitter. So it'd be nice to have things like that to kind of keep
limit the flood. I mean, it really does take over.
Because not to say everyone deserves a voice, but some people.
That's the kind of the conversation of censorship that's going on now, and trying to ban certain people and certain things when you could just actually put barriers and boundaries around the platforms. But you know, that limits the amount of ads and things.
Right. You know what I'm saying? People want to monetize, and it's a business at the end of the day, which we get. But at the time, I used to love those types of things. But over time, I would see a lot of like party structures. I'd see a lot of gathering structures. I had never thrown a party or anything, so I didn't necessarily know how it went. But I do know, I'd say probably 2013, maybe 2014. My aunt, she ran a State Farm location, and she had this building, and I was just like, "Hey, auntie, you know, I have this idea." And she was like, "Honestly, no, I can't let you use it because I have to rent it out for money." I'm like, "Oh, but you know what I'm trying to do?" And you know, it was like this whole thing. So she was like, "Look, you can use it until someone comes and offers me money for it."
There you go.
So I was like, "All right, cool. You know, get me started or whatever." There you go. But again, because I was young, I don't understand how long it takes to really get this stuff situated, how to actually put a lot of this stuff together. It was like my first pop-up. I was telling people that I wanted to do a brand since high school. So people were just kind of like, okay, you're actually doing what you said you're doing. And in indie, you don't see that a lot.
Very rare.
People kind of waver and do a lot of different things. They could be a barber one day, a DJ the next day, and then you know, all of a sudden they could be flipping houses the next day.
There you go.
Not to say you can't do those.
There's something wrong with that, right? But
a lot of people don't necessarily stay on the journey, you know, both good, you know, and bad, you know, whatever. Because those things happen. It's just necessary growing pains, right? Life. So I was able to have this pop-up. The pop-up turned into a party, which we didn't have planned at all. No one bought anything. It was literally a big party. What's funny is I probably would send this to my aunt.
As you should.
But inside of that building, so it actually was my birthday, the day that we chose to do this.
How beautiful.
I know, right? So it all kind of came full circle. Because people really didn't understand what pop-ups were back then. So again, just trying to bring something that I saw on the internet to here, it was the greatest time. Yeah, we had DJ Day come out, and we just had a really good time.
Yeah.
And after that, I was just like, okay, I kind of understand like both sides of this, like how it can be or how it should be.
Yeah, yeah. Do you feel like that was the origin for you? Like that was a spark?
Yeah. So that left me always wanting a store.
There you go.
And I had worked in retail before, so I was no stranger to how a store works or, you know, like what essentials, you know, went into running a store, things like that. But I say that to say, though, at the time I was like, you know what, if I could have my own store, that would be like the pinnacle.
Yep. Do this every day.
Type shit, you know what I'm saying? But also in doing this every day, I realized what type of things I would have to sacrifice for being an entrepreneur. And a lot of times people, you know, glamorize what they think being an entrepreneur
is. The concept,
Yeah, for sure. People think it's getting a different cell phone. And, you know, like I said, having a business card and swiping it all the time. And in order to have those things, there's a lot of ground you have to cover to make sure everything is completed. No problem. Y'all find everything pretty well? It's pretty nice in there? So every week we put new things in there. So if you're just around the neighborhood just wondering, feel free to come by. So Club Cargo came from, in Chicago, they used to have this, I guess I'd call it a gathering of sorts. So Joe Fresh Goods obviously had Fat Tiger in Chicago. The guys at Fat Tiger, they're men of many hats. They do a lot of different things. Whether you know it or not, they do a lot of different shit, which has kind of motivated me to like learn other shit.
Do you mean in terms of like being a multidisciplinary artist or like within business?
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
Because I'm not on the ground level to like know, okay, this is what they're doing, this is how they're doing it. But at the same time, because of the internet, post something on Tumblr, it's almost like an open invite, right?
It is. And I think it does take a certain level of discernment to understand what that means and what it takes to get there.
For sure.
But I feel like that's what separates the followers from, like, you know, taking inspiration versus copying and plagiarism. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So me and my friends we were avid Tumblr kids.
Talk about it.
Tumblr was essentially our Google, which is essentially kids nowadays TikTok, right?
I'm still a Tumblr kid.
Yeah, low key. But the thing that I took from it was whenever they would post that and then like show like the aftermath, it would be like a party. And Joe Fresh Goods or like some of his people would be like the DJ. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, Vic and them, they would like, you know, Rillo and them, they would like DJ.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I see what's going on here. So like y'all got space, and however you got the space, you use it. Okay, cool. So like they had one spot that had like a backyard to it. And it was reminiscent to a place we had here called Victory.
Okay.
It was on the west side. At the time, I was selling so many clothes to Ben Davis kids that I thought that I'd be able to get my clothes in the store. And the clothes also had like a different ambiance to it because it had like a backyard with a tree house and all of this cool stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, this could pop. But they were never really able to get past a certain point because they didn't have the complete vision.
It was just about the clothes?
It was about other things. The clothes just happened to be there.
There you go.
I would say that. But I say that to say that I would look at the blueprint of Feed the Homies and just kind of ingest that.
Right.
You take little things from here, little things from there, little things from there, you mash it up and you
take notes, you build your blueprint.
You know what I'm saying? We started going up to Chicago and not catching Feed the Homies because it was in the middle of the week. Niggas had jobs. So when Joe would do like a store opening and we would slide up there. And eventually for us, it was like, all right, we just need to get ourselves known by these people. So whenever they're having some shit, we can slide on them and you know, see what's to it. But in doing those types of things and just finding out that information, Club Cargo essentially came from that.
That's fire.
But also seeing on Instagram, people in New York, you know, get out and they like, stores have such a following that they are able to have these people come out, right? Yes. So for us, it was just like, all right, not everyone wants to buy a t-shirt. Especially in Indianapolis, some people don't even think they're cool enough to step foot in these doors. Yes. Which I really don't understand. Mind-blowing. This has nothing to do with being cool. It's just whatever your variety of stuff is. We have shirts that are $20. We have shirts that are $320. People
are too scared to even.
They're too scared, or they feel like they're not cool enough, and that says more about you than it does about me. 100%. But I'm such a people person that I'm okay with standing by you and talking you through things and letting you know what's going on, so that way it doesn't feel so. You don't feel the stress.
You can really be anyone and walk in these doors and walk out with something that you love, that's something that speaks to you. That's
what Club Cargo was about. So a lot of times we couldn't get people in the doors for the clothes, but we could get people inside the doors because we was having fun. So, so what's funny is, shout out to my homegirl Bree. We were all in the shipping container one day. She had one of her homegirls in town. When we was just at the shop chilling, playing music, drinking, whatever, and you know, just having a good time. And she was like, Cargo's a club. And I'm like, oh, that name slaps, Club Cargo. You know, we're drunk bullshit and talking about it, whatever. So we end up, after COVID, we got the opportunity to go downtown for a little while, you know, March Madness was happening. So March Madness all took place in Indianapolis, or at least in Indiana. And there's a lot of games that took place in Indianapolis. And during that time, they were like, hey, we have this location for you. It's pretty much smack dab in the middle of the city. We're not going to charge you nothing. We just want you to come down.
Is that 21?
Yeah, that's 21. 21, yep. So we ended up moving down to, we ended up moving downtown. And we were like, man, we've never had this much space before. And we were like, all right, well, we could possibly invite some homies to come and maybe, drink a little bit, just kick it. Sometimes we watch the game. We had 2 TVs in there, so sometimes they'd be on simultaneous game. And we were just gonna kick it, like very sports bar-ish. And we had this big Bluetooth speaker where people would like, yo, can I play my song? Or, you know what I'm saying? Can I play my playlist? And we'd be like, man, your playlist better slap. So at this point, we're really using social media to like get a draw. And it was very much a Twitter thing. So people would come, there'd be like some popular people in the city, and they would just publicize, oh, I'm at Cargo and they ran out of liquor, or I'm at Cargo and the playlist is going crazy, or whatever the case is. So what ended up happening was, I would start tweeting, Club Cargo tonight or whatever, and people would be like, oh shit, I've been wanting to go to one of those for a while or whatever. So eventually it went from us kicking in the container to moving down here and having maybe 10 people to maybe 20 people coming and then them complaining about us not having alcohol. So where we're just like, all right, well, bring your own bottle, create your own vibe. We're running the store. This is our business here.
Come on.
So your business is to take care of yourself, And because we're so close to the club, a lot of people would use us for the pregame, and then go to the club. Which that's cool with us because we're trying to get home anyway. We've been at work since noon. We want to go home. So what would end up happening is it would get so packed out that we couldn't kick niggas out no more. And then we had one final one because we ended up getting kicked out of that building for some wild reasons. But we had Vic and AD come. And they turned that bitch up. And from there we're just like, damn, like
I feel like that's the first Cargo I went to.
That's a lot of people's first.
I really do think so, and that was so beautiful for me. Honestly, I was going cross paths.
Also it's like, yo, has this been happening in Indy this whole time?
That was my biggest fear. I was like, was I missing out? Like, was I not outside? And that was like, I was in college, like really actually understanding what culture meant to me and finding where I actually fit within culture. For sure. And it was one of the first places that I was like, oh,
I see what's going on.
I want to do this. Like fashion, like music, like clothes, like people. So and I feel like that's what it started out with. It was the people.
Because we're trying to embody all that in one. So for us to expand at those times, we would have Club Cargo and people would be like, yo, can we buy this stuff right now? Like,
I feel like I asked that question. I did.
You know what I'm saying? So we were just
concept to me.
Yeah, I mean, because we were just like, yo, if you want to buy something now, you can, like, but you got to catch me before I get drunk.
There you go.
Because if I do, no one's buying anything. You know what I'm saying? We got people guarding the doors to make sure y'all don't leave with the stuff, you know. But people were always super respectful of the location. I think they also understood that what we're giving you is a super one-off. So
We're
like,
grateful.
You know what I'm saying?
So can't go anywhere. We don't need this to shut down. Thank you. I need this.
You know what I'm saying? So we just did so many things that at that point we just felt like, you know, people respect that, at least what we got going on.
The culture.
The type shit. The internet spans the world. You know what I'm saying? The literal globe.
Yeah. And beyond.
So, you know, and beyond, right? For all we know, they said they caught an alien in Miami a couple nights ago.
That's how I feel.
You know what I'm saying? So it's obviously not just us out here. But I say that to say that there's so much information around that in order to get oohs and ahs or like really to get people to be impressed, you have to bring them something that they're not used to. One thing that we found out is, yes, in preparation, it is nice when you invite people months out. But it also is like, it's something special when you can tell somebody really quickly and they're receptive to that.
Yep.
And we never really ever know how it's gonna go. We've had club cargos that didn't actually go the way we wanted to, but also COVID, you know, assisted in that.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things to where for us, inviting people at a moment's notice has kind of not only become the thing, but also really helped us in the sense that people's attention span isn't what it used to be. So you could tell someone a month in advance, hey, I'm doing this at the end of the month, and they'll completely forget.
Yeah.
And when I say people, I'm people. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, people get so busy that you overlap things, and you're like, oh, I don't want to do anything else. Yeah. We tell people now, and at the end of the week, they still want to do it, cool. Yep. If not, other people are going to say, hey, I've never been to this party, let's go. But also at the same time, you have the opportunity to meet a lot of creatives, a lot of people in the city that are doing things, people that don't necessarily come outside, people that won't come outside. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people will come to these things.
You need a safe place.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, we also structured it in a way to where, not that we break DJs, but like, we try to find people that are on the brinks of like doing stuff in the city, and we're just like, all right, well, let's give people another reason to love you.
Because that is the essence of culture.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because you can't do anything by yourself.
Absolutely not.
As nice as it sounds, you can't do anything by yourself.
Absolutely not.
Club Cargo isn't anything without the people that come and the DJs that represent it. We are only the people that have the location. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, and the location isn't always our store. Like, up until recently, we haven't been able to have it in a location that belonged to us.
Quote unquote. So,
you know, it's just one of those things to where it's like, Club Cargo has a lot to do with the people. It's really not even anything to do with us. But for us, it's just like customer appreciation. It's just like, hey, if you shop here, you get the inside scoop. You'll probably find out first. You might walk into the store and see us take shots already in preparation for what's going on, you know, later on that night. So it's just one of those things to where we just try to help the city expand itself. Because we find that a lot of people do gatekeep. And a lot of people think that the culture is for them, or if they don't think that the culture is for, let me not say for them, because that sounds crazy. Some people feel like they are the curator of the culture. And if they aren't leading the charge, then it can't be someone else first. And we've seen that with a lot of, I've seen it with people that not that I started with, but people that
in your class and you know,
you know what I'm saying? So like, I've seen like my age mates and things do that, and I'm like, come on, like, you gotta let
becoming the old head.
You know what I'm saying?
You gotta let.
And once you become the old nigga, niggas don't like you no more.
There's nothing to.
You know what I'm saying? So like,
where's the fire?
You know what I'm saying? Like, people like to blame people for, you know, like their mishaps or them not being able to like expand anymore. And for us, it's just like, look, I could learn how to DJ tomorrow for sure. But for me, it's not about that. For me, it's like, all right, we got so many people in that trying to do creative things. And even like people like yourself, like you've moved to a place where you can connect to more creative.
Yeah.
But the thing about indie is we have a lot of people doing that, so we lose a lot of creativity.
I know.
No shade to you or nothing like that, but I also understand because I would have done the same thing. I was on my way to move to LA before all of this happened.
There you go.
So it's just one of those things to where it's like, if we can create a place where for that night, for those seconds, you feel like indie's bigger than Fishers, Carmel, the far west side, far east side, you know what I'm saying, south side. If you can do that for a few hours, for a few seconds, we've done what we needed to do.
Absolutely.
And I mean, the last one that you came to, it even shocked me because at first it was very chill, it was cool, and before I knew it was about 100 niggas in.
That was a good one, and I came back. I was here, and it was good vibes, and I think that's so beautiful too, is that at no matter the capacity, I'm having a good time. So
there's times that we kind of worry, like, man, is this the Club Cargo where it's gonna end it all? You know, and then mad people come out. And it'd be to the point that where people like will come up to me and be like, yo, I didn't even know this was a store. I thought Club Cargo was solely an event. And we're like, nah, like, so like at the same time, it's kind of transcended what the store is, which is, you know, good and bad, depending on how you look at it. But also at the same time, we don't want it to be so big that it takes away the, right, you know, it takes away the, well, I guess, people lose sight of what we're actually trying to do here. So this upcoming year, we're going to do a lot of other things because we want people to know that we're trying to do things that are all creative. Yes, our people do like to party, but there's other things that are connected to that.
And I feel like what really connects us to Cargo is being artists. The connections are so authentic, and it inspires me so much. You know what I mean? And I don't even know that, as you say, like, people leave and we lose that creativity, but I don't know that I would have even known that I could thrive in an environment such as New York if I hadn't been to a Cargo. And I know that sounds crazy, but like those were like very pivotal moments for me, you know?
I value that a lot. But I'm just here to say, like, we really do it for everyone else. You know what I'm saying? Like, not to say that we've had our lives, because we're still young too. But, but we've seen so much, and we're just like, man, we miss when indie had these things. You know, what can we do to help that part of culture grow?
What do you want to leave behind with Cargo, with yourself? I know that this is your journey. I feel like Cargo's your baby. You said it's your blessing. It is you. You know what I mean? Would you ever sell it? Would you ever give it up? What's the, you know, is it just living in the moment?
I was talking to one of my homegirls not too long ago, and she reminded me, she was like, the goal is to have people working here. Like, for you not to have to be the day-to-day person in here. And I think those are things that I worry about because I look at Cargo as being my baby. I very much think to myself, like, all right, well, if this is going to be something that I've worked on this long, I can't just pass it off to anyone. So if I didn't sell it, I want to keep some type of something going on here. But I'd also want to like maybe curate the next person to come behind us, because for us, it's very much always tied to the youth. And it's harder for us to know high school age people because we are so removed from high school, even removed from college at this point. So it's one of those things to where for us, we just want to try to make sure that we leave something that can be told. For us, we just really hope that the culture continues to transcend itself. Because with Got Soul closing, I always say to people, the one thing that I hate is that they didn't give someone the opportunity to buy it or to buy into it. In Detroit, they have a store called Burn Rubber. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's a store that's similar to corporate, but it's like a Detroit version. They were going through a point where that store was going to close, and then they let some people buy into it, and that store has went on maybe another 20 years at this point. So which is one of those things to where now we just really hope that however it goes, whether it's us, whether it's somebody else, that they take what we've done in here and expound on it. You know, it's hard enough to build what we have going, and and trust that there's a place that you can go for that. If you're in Miami, you go to Wynwood, right?
Yeah.
You know places that already exist that are like that. Thank God we have the opportunity of being in Fountain Square here, where it is like a cultural, corridor already. And we want to get more people to just be around and do pop-ups and just like kind of trust us with helping them with brand identities. And we want people to understand, like, you can come to us and ask questions because the things that you're figuring out, we had to figure out.
Right.
The door that we had to jump through was about this big before now. So it's like we just want to get it to the place where other people are able to do it, not necessarily with us or without us, but we want to make it to where people are just like, all right, I feel comfortable in this space because I'm not having to lay down the foundation. It's already there for me. Yep. So I guess that's really what we would want from this. Yeah. Nothing more, nothing less. I feel like we've done a lot to secure ourselves in people's mind for a while, but like I said, it's about the youth. If the youth doesn't come, after us and push this limitation and then push the limitation for the people that came before them, this is going to die out again.
There you go.
But we just need people to keep coming behind it. So, if someone came to me and wanted to buy this for all the money in the world, I have more than one idea. I'm not a one-trick pony. But also being in this business, you do learn a lot. And if you don't, that's also to your detriment.
Facts.
So like I said, if people have questions, I tell people all the time, we got a couch now. So pull up, ask me any question. If I know the answer, I'm going to tell you. Because it only does me a disservice if I don't tell you.
It's true.
I'm not going to give you the keys, but I'm going to send you on your way. Like, hey, I went that way. You'll see a lot if you go. You know what I'm saying? Or try going. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna very much tell you what's going on, but at the same time, just like the advice point, I guess to kind of.
Here we go. Here we go.
Because you could ask me any kind of advice and hope that I'm going to tell you the exact blueprint. I don't even know the exact blueprint.
Day by day.
I bullshitted so much. We had a business partner that stole from us. There's so much that happened in the grand scheme of things. Just because we were, wet behind the ears or just really eager to want to do something or whatever the case is. So don't take my advice as gold. You know what I'm saying? Only take it,
a grain of salt,
Right. Take it with a grain of salt and say, all right, this is what this person did. I saw this person did this. R.I.P. Virgil, I saw this person do that. And, smack it together.
Influence, not imitation.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
All right. So, thanks for the conversation.
You're very welcome. Good conversation.
Yeah, I thought so too.